Good morning, students. Yesterday we have completed the electric flux. We have got the mathematical equation for the electric flux. Phi equals to sum of E ds cos theta. Then after that we come across the main stream of the topic, that is Gauss theorem. Already we have got the Coulomb's law in electrostatics. Even though having the Coulomb's law in electrostatics, we are introducing the new law, new theorem, that is called Gauss theorem or Gauss law. Then what is the reason to be introduced the Gauss theorem? When you analyze the Coulomb's law is meant for only 2-point charges and they are separated by a certain distance. You know that how to calculate the force, and from that we know that how to calculate the electric intensity, etc. When the charge is given to the conductor, according to the properties of the charges resides on the outer surface of the conductor. When the charge is given to the conductor, there are so many number of charges which are available on the surface of the conductor. Because of the existence of the charge, there is the existence of the electric field, force, potential, etc. To calculate the electric field due to the charges on the surface of the conductor, we are completely failure to use Coulomb's law. Wherever the failure of the Coulomb's law takes place, we emerge with the new law to deal the distribution of the charges on the surface of the conductor. That is Gauss theorem. So according to the Gauss theorem, the charges should be enclosed by the surface. But basic concept, when you give the charges are available on the surface of the conductor, they never enters inside the conductor. Then how should be the Gauss theorem should be applied? How the Gauss theorem is going to be dealt? So according to the Gauss, when you give the charges to the conductor, the charges are available on the surface of the conductor. These are the charges on the surface of the conductor. So Q equals to n number of charges. But according to the Gauss, the charges should be enclosed by the surface. The charges never enters inside the conductor. Then how the charges should be enclosed? Then he consider the imaginary surface. He draw the imaginary surface. Now this is the imaginary surface which encloses the charges. Isn't it? Now Q is the amount of the charges which are enclosed by this imaginary surface, and this imaginary surface he called Gaussian surface. Then when there is existence of the charge, there is existence of electric lines of forces. The electric lines of forces are originated from positive charge. Now these are the electric lines of forces. The number of electric lines of forces passing through the surface, these are termed as a electric flux. Q is the amount of the charges enclosed by the Gaussian surface, and the charge gives electric lines of forces. Number of electric lines of forces passing through the surface, that is called electric flux, and the medium where the charges are existed, nothing should be there. There is a term epsilon naught, permittivity of free space. By using these three concepts, charge, electric flux and epsilon naught, then he framed the law, and that law is called Gauss theorem or Gauss law. And this Gauss theorem and Gauss law is considered as the basic law of electrostatics. From the Gauss theorem we can arrive the Coulomb's law, but from the Coulomb's law we never arrive the Gauss theorem. Hence, Gauss theorem is considered as a basic law in electrostatics. So, the surface which encloses the charges, and that surface is nothing but imaginary surface. Now, this is the imaginary surface which encloses the charges, and that imaginary surface which encloses the charges is termed by the Gauss, and that surface is called Gaussian surface. Then what is that Gauss theorem? The statement for the Gauss theorem, that single line statement, that deals with flux, charge and permittivity of free space. Then statement. What is that statement? Statement. From the Gauss theorem, or Gauss theorem states that the total electric flux through a Gaussian surface is equals to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface. What is that? The Gauss theorem states that the total electric flux through any closed surface is equals to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface. Now this is about Gauss theorem. So by knowing this Gauss theorem statement, yesterday, that is nothing but earlier class, we have got one more equation, that mathematical equation for electric flux, phi equals to sum of E ds cos theta. Isn't it? Then I make the single equation, the total electric flux phi equals to sum of E ds cos theta is equals to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. Now this is our equation for total electric flux. Electric flux is a scalar quantity. Now this cos function indicates that it is a scalar quantity. Then what is its SI unit? The SI unit is SI unit. E is nothing but, that is SI unit, E is volt per meter. In the next topic we are going to come across the one more equation for the electric field, E equals to dV by dx. In that case we come across the unit for electric field, volt per meter, area meter square. Then what is the SI unit? Volt per meter. Shall I write here? SI unit is volt meter. 1 meter get cancels, volt meter. Electric flux is a scalar quantity and its SI unit is volt meter. Now this is about Gauss theorem. Then wherever the Coulomb's law is failure, we emerge with the new law in electrostatics to deal the distribution of the charges on the surface of the conductor. Then that theorem is nothing but Gauss theorem. The Gauss theorem states that the total electric flux through any closed surface is equals to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by the surface. Then phi equals to 1 by epsilon naught times q. So in the earlier class we had the equation phi equals sum of E ds cos theta. I make the single equation for the electric flux, sum of E ds cos theta is equals to 1 by epsilon naught into q. So what is that electric flux? Electric flux is a scalar quantity and its SI unit is E is measured in terms of volt per meter, area is nothing but meter square, 1 meter get cancels, the electric flux SI unit is phi equals to volt meter. Now after having this Gauss theorem statement, then we come across its application. That is the important factor. By using this Gauss theorem, we had the electric field calculation for the conductor, that is the linear conductor, plane sheet, and the charge distribution on the surface of the spherical conductor. We have got the three important applications. Then we come across applications of Gauss theorem. The first application, we have got the 5 mass derivation in the theoretical section, and the same thing we go for what while solving the NEET and CET problems, that is MCQs. So I come across application of Gauss theorem. Application of Gauss theorem. Applications of Gauss theorem. Gauss theorem. The first application, the electric intensity due to a charged spherical conductor. Charged spherical conductor. Sometimes this is referred as a shell, charged spherical shell. At a point outside the conductor. At a point outside the conductor. Don't be think about that. The title for that derivation is so long. Only the thing is that our aim is to calculate the electric intensity due to a charged spherical conductor at a point outside the conductor. That is at a large distance. Now this is our basic derivation, first application. This is most important application. When you concentrate on the title, the figure itself is available in the title. Just to analyze it, we need what? Charged spherical conductor. Then what is that point? It is outside the charged conductor at a large distance. Then from that we have to calculate electric intensity. Then I go for pictorial representation. Then I go for explanation. Or proof. I take the charged spherical conductor, center O, R is its radius. When the charge is given to it, the charges are uniformly distributed on the surface of the spherical conductor. The spherical body is considered as the ideal body for the distribution of the charge. Is it clear? Our aim is to calculate the electric field at a point outside. Now this is the point. You choose the point such that it is outside the spherical conductor. When you draw the Gaussian surface, it should be fit in your answer sheet page. You don't take at a large distance, you are taking the distance, point P at very large. Then how you are going to be construct that Gaussian surface? That is the important factor. So I take the point P, which is at a distance d from the center, at which I want to be calculate the electric fields. Then unless and until to enclose the charges, I cannot apply the Gauss theorem. So I can draw the Gaussian surface. Now this is a Gaussian surface which encloses the charges. Q is the amount of the charge. So when the charge is existed, it gives the electric lines of forces. Now these are the electric lines of forces. The electric lines of forces are normal to the surface, that gives the direction of the electric field. Now this is the electric lines of forces. Right. The number of electric lines of forces passing through a surface gives what? Electric flux. The surface is large. Gaussian surface is having the large surface area. I cannot deal whole the surface at a time. I take the small surface area around the point P. Now this is a small surface area around the point P, and this is nothing but having surface area ds, where E and ds are parallel to each other. What is the angle between them? Theta equals to 0. Now this is your figure. I understand. Just to concentrate the figure, write the few lines regarding the figure, then you go for the derivation steps. Then how to jot the lines? Don't buy the things. Consider a spherical conductor of radius r where the charges are uniformly distributed. Let P be a point at a distance d from the center of a spherical conductor where the electric intensity is to be determined. Let consider a small surface area around the point P, surface area ds, where E and ds are in the same direction, then theta equals to 0. My aim is to calculate the electric field at a point P. Then, what is our basic equation? We know that. Consider. If you remember this equation, phi equals to sum of E ds cos theta is equals to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge and cos. Your derivation ends. This much equation is sufficient to deal almost all the derivations of what? Application of the Gauss theorem. I take this equation. दूसरा equation याद करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, इतना इक्वेशन आप याद रख लिए, आप पूरे एप्लीकेशंस हो गए हो. जस्ट यू हैव टू अप्लाई द इक्वेशंस इन वाइज मैनर. So I take this equation. Consider the electric flux, total electric flux through the surface phi equals to sum of E ds cos theta. Then what is theta? So here theta equals to 0. Then cos theta equals to cos 0 equals to 1. Shall I substitute here? Phi equals to sum of E ds. Cos theta equals to cos 0 equals to 1. The electric field is constant. Constant factors are taken out of summation. What is the things remain? Sum of ds. If I consider the whole surface area, for whole surface, sum of ds is equals to 4 pi r square. But r is nothing but here the distance, that radius is nothing but distance, d square. 4 pi d square. Shall I substitute here? Therefore, phi equals to E sum of ds is nothing but 4 pi d square. Shall I call equation number 1? Yes. Now this is my first equation. There is a distribution of the charges. I want to calculate the electric field due to this distribution of the charges. I must go towards whom? Gauss theorem. From Gauss theorem, shall I write here? From Gauss theorem. What is phi? 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. I call this is equation number 2. Are you getting the point? Simple derivations, don't make the confusion. Only the two equations are going to be used. Just you have to see the things which are written on the blackboard. Shall I compare equation number 1 and 2? From equation 1 and 2, so E into 4 pi d square is equals to 1 by epsilon naught times q. I need the electric field. What is your final equation? 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught q by d square. Systematic arrangement. Now this is my phi mass derivation. Electric field due to a charged spherical conductor at a point outside the conductor. E equals to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught q by d square, where d is the distance of the point from the outside of the conductor at a distance d meter apart from the center. From the equation, what should be cleared? Charge q is constant. 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught is constant. The electric field is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. As the distance increases, the intensity of the electric field decreases. Are you getting the point? Now this is our first application. Just to glance the steps. And this is our first derivation. That is nothing but application of the Gauss theorem. Is it clear? एक बार देख लो पूरे इक्वेशंस को, कुछ भी नहीं है. You have to implement the things with clear manner. Is it clear? Shall I go for the second step, second derivation? Yes. Second application, electric intensity due to a charged spherical conductor or spherical shell SHELL, shell, right? Small correction. At a point very close to the surface, at a point close to the surface. Now this is our second derivation. Are you getting the point? Then everything will be same. Then what are the changes to be done? So figure I keep as it is. this point is a little bit far away. It is very close to the surface. I consider the point P which is very close to the surface, which is at a distance d meter apart once again. But I cannot take the point P on the surface. If I take the point P on the surface, if I go for draw the Gaussian surface, it never encloses the charges. When the charges are not enclosed, we cannot apply the Gauss theorem. Hence, we take the point very close to the surface, but not on the surface. If you take the point on the surface, when you draw the Gaussian surface, it does not enclose any charge. Hence, we cannot apply the Gauss theorem. Are you getting the point? So, when the point P is very close to the surface, which is at a distance d, such that the d and r radius, they are nearly equal, not exactly equal, then I draw the Gaussian surface. Now this is the Gaussian surface which enclose the charges q amount. Again I consider the small surface ds. Now this is the direction of the electric field. Electric lines of forces are originated from positive charge. So small surface area ds. What is that condition? Here d is nearly equals to r, not exactly equals to r. D is nearly equals to r. Are you getting the point? Now this is my figure. I keep the same thing as it is. Here replace d by r. Still the point is outside. I take the same point. Then here d is nearly equals to r. Therefore, phi equals to E into 4 pi r square. Is it clear? Then I call this is equation number 1. Right? Then, when the charges are distributed on the surface of the conductor, once again I have to go towards whom? Gauss theorem. But from Gauss theorem, phi equals to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. Isn't it? Yes. When the charges are close to the, when the point is very close to the surface, we must consider the surface density of the charge. When the point is far away from the charged conductor, we never come across what? The consideration of surface density of the charge. We don't bother about it. But when the point is very close to it, when the d is nearly equals to r, then we bother about what? Distribution of the charges. So, therefore, from the surface density of the charge, sigma equals to charge per unit area. What is that area? 4, that is nothing but surface area is nothing but 4 pi r square. What is that surface area? Surface area of a spherical conductor. Surface area of the sphere is 4 pi r square. I need charge q. I need charge q. Therefore, q equals to sigma into 4 pi r square. Then shall I take this equation? Therefore, phi equals to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. Q is nothing but sigma into 4 pi r square. I call this is equation number 2. You glance the steps clearly. Whatever the derivation we have done earlier, the 50% derivation is as it is. Only thing we have substituted, d is nearly equals to r, replace d by r. Then we come across Gauss theorem. When the point is very close to the surface, that is d is nearly equals to r, we bother about distribution of the charges, that is surface density of the charge, sigma equals to charge per unit area. What is that area? Surface area of the sphere, 4 pi r square. Then I need q equals to sigma into 4 pi r square. I substitute here. I call equation number 2. Right? Then I take this use of space. Then I remove this figure. Clear? Is it clear? From equation 192, then I can write center. From equation 192, I make the block. so that we cannot be confused. A block में लिख के छोड़ देता हूँ मैं. From equation 1 and 2, what is that equation? E into 4 pi r square is equals to, what about this? Sigma into 4 pi r square divided by epsilon naught. 4 pi r square get cancels. The electric intensity equals to sigma by epsilon naught. This is your derivation. Is it clear? पूरे steps इधर है. Already figure आपको मालूम है. अगर figure आपको होना है, then we can make it the figure later on. Comparisons. Now this is the electric intensity at a point due to a charged spherical conductor or shell. That point is very close to the surface. E equals to sigma by epsilon naught, where sigma is the surface density of the charge. एक बार पूरे इक्वेशंस को ग्लांस करो, पूरे स्टेप्स को ग्लांस करो. सिंपल इक्वेशंस है. एक डेरिवेशन कर लिए. नेक्स्ट 50% डेरिवेशन इज रिपीटेड फॉर नेक्स्ट डेरिवेशन, दैट इज नथिंग बट सेकंड एप्लीकेशन. इज इट क्लियर? यस. देन द लास्ट वन, पॉइंट को दूर रखें, उसके बाद नजदीक लाए, अब अंदर लाए, अंदर लेके आएंगे. When the point P is inside the spherical conductor, then what is the electric field? हमको मालूम है theoretically. The electric field inside the conductor is zero because charges never enters inside the conductor. There will be no existence of the charge. Then there will be no existence of the electric lines of forces. Then there will be no existence of the electric flux. Then the electric field is zero. हम ये theoretically बोल सकते हैं. Then how to say that electric field inside the spherical conductor is zero with equation form. Last one, when the point P is taken inside the conductor, then what is the electric field inside the charged spherical conductor? Now this is the last application for spherical shell. So I take the point P inside the spherical conductor. Electric field inside the conductor. Electric field inside a charged spherical conductor. Charged spherical conductor. Spherical conductor. Say it? Yes. Now this is the conductor of radius r. Charge is given to it. The charges are uniformly distributed. Basic concept है. Q amount of the charges. I take the point P inside. Now this is the point P which is at a distance d meter apart from the center O. Then if I draw the Gaussian surface. Now this is your Gaussian surface. I cannot say it is Gaussian surface because it is not enclosing any charges. When the d is less than r, here d is less than r. What is the charges enclosed by the surface? No charges because charges are outside. Therefore, phi equals to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge. The charge enclosed here, charge enclosed is 0. Phi equals to 0. But electric field equals to flux per unit area. Phi equals to 0 by A and E equals to 0. The electric field inside the charged spherical conductor is 0. It means that no charges are enclosed inside the conductor. Charges never enters inside the conductor. Hence the electric field is 0. From the application of the Gauss theorem, we proved that the electric field inside the charged spherical conductor is 0. Is it clear? Yes. We have got the 3 derivation steps for charged spherical cell. The electric field at a point outside the charged spherical cell, E equals to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by d square. When the point P is taken very close to the surface, that is d is nearly equals to r, we have got one more equation. The electric intensity E equals to sigma by epsilon naught. Third thing, if I take the point P inside the conductor, then the electric field inside the charged spherical conductor that is nothing but E equals to 0. Isn't it? Is it clear? All the factors? Yes. Then after this, I go for next application, the electric field due to a charged straight conductor which is infinitely long. Electric field due to a charged straight conductor. Then I go for next important derivation, that is second one, electric field due to a long straight conductor of infinite length. I want to calculate the electric field due to this charged electric field due to a long straight conductor, long straight charged conductor, long straight charged conductor, long straight charged conductor of infinite length, long straight charged conductor of infinite length. That should be understood. Then I take the straight conductor. Now this is my straight conductor. When the charge is given to it, the charges are available on the surface of the conductor which are distributed along the length. Then when there are distribution of the charges, I must go towards whom? Gauss. Unless and until to apply the Gauss theorem, I cannot calculate the electric field. And this conductor is of infinite length. The length is extended. The dotted indicates what? Infinite length. That is nothing but the length of the conductor is large. Unless and until to enclose the charge, I cannot apply the Gauss theorem. I need the Gaussian surface. Now this is the straight conductor. What is the nature of the Gaussian surface? I take the cylindrical surface. I take the cylinder. Now this is the cylinder which encloses the charges. Now this is your cylindrical conductor of length L, of uniform cross section area. R is the radius and is having the length L. Right? Now this is a point P at a distance, I can say that at a distance R. A distance idhar aa jata. At a distance R, where the electric intensity is calculated, I take the small surface area around the point P, ds, and this is the direction of the electric field. Right. Are you getting the point? Now this is our figure. I take the straight conductor which is charged, where the charges are distributed on the surface of the conductor. Then to enclose the charges, I take the cylindrical surface of length L, and P is the point which is at a distance R, where the electric intensity is to be calculated, and ds is a small area around the point P, and E is the direction of the electric field. Then you draw the certain lines. Consider a straight conductor where the charges are distributed on its surface along the length. To enclose the charges, let a cylindrical Gaussian surface and P be the point on the surface at a distance R, where the electric intensity is to be determined, and ds is a small surface area around the point P, and E represents the direction of the electric field. Again I go for basic equation. Consider, what is your basic equation? Phi equals to sum of E ds cos theta. Shall I take it? Then theta equals to 0. Here theta equals to 0, therefore cos theta equals to cos 0 equals to how much? 1. Then I come across directly phi equals to sum of E ds. Then E is the constant factor that is taken out of summation, sum of ds. Here sum of ds is nothing but surface area of the cylinder, 2 pi r h. H is nothing but here length, 2 pi r l. Sum of ds is nothing but surface area of the cylinder, that is nothing but 2 pi r h. H is nothing but here length L, 2 pi r L. I call this is phi equals to, then I substitute here E into 2 pi r L. Shall I call equation number 1? Yes. Then from the Gauss theorem, what is phi? Phi equals to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. Again, the charges are distributed along the length. Then we have to be consider what? The linear density of the charge. Right? But lambda equals to charge per unit length, I need Q. Q equals to lambda into L. Because the charges are distributed along the length, I must be apply what? The linear density of the charge. Therefore, shall I write phi equals to 1 by epsilon naught times lambda L. Shall I call equation number 2? Yes. Then from equation 1 and 2, what is that term? E into 2 pi r L, 1 by epsilon naught into lambda L. L get cancels. What is the remaining thing? I write here E equals to lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into r. This is our equation. We can write, again it is systematically E equals to 1 divided by 2 pi epsilon naught lambda by r. Both are same. Now this is one more derivation for the electric field when the charges are distributed along the length of the conductor. Now this is nothing but the second important application of what? Gauss theorem. Just to glance the figure and derivation steps. Then after that, let me come across last derivation of the application of the Gauss theorem. एक बार पूरे फिगर को देख लो अच्छी तरह से, कुछ भी डाउट्स नहीं है, जस्ट फिगर अंडरस्टैंड कर लो. जब फिगर अंडरस्टैंड कर ले एवरीथिंग विल बी ओके. यहाँ पे लीनियर सरफेस डेंसिटी लेने का जरूरत क्या है? बिकॉज द चार्जेस आर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड अलोंग द लेंथ, हेंस आई कैन टेक लैम्डा इक्वल्स टू चार्ज पर यूनिट लेंथ. गौर से देख लो. Almost all the derivation throughout the physics are simple. Only thing is you have to be apply the basic concept how to solve it without biheartation. मेरा मोटो तो वही है, आप लोगों को जितना हो सकते उतना फिजिक्स इजी कर लेना. आप फील करना कि फिजिक्स पढ़ने के लिए आप लोग उतावले हो जाना, बिकॉज डेरिवेशन जब आप पूरे इजी हो जाते हैं, हर एक स्टेप को आप अच्छी तरह से समझ लेते हैं, देन यू राइट द फिजिक्स जस्ट लाइक द लैंग्वेज. सही है? शैल आई गो फॉर द लास्ट एप्लीकेशन विथ योर परमिशन? सर हमको समझ में आ गया, आप जा सकते हैं. वेरी गुड. यही रवैया आप लोगों से हम लोग चाहते हैं. लास्ट एप्लीकेशन, इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड ड्यू टू ए चार्ज्ड प्लेन शीट. द इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड ड्यू टू ए charged plane sheet, that is nothing but last application of Gauss theorem. निकाल सकते हो इससे? Yes. I go for last derivation, electric field due to a infinitely charged plane sheet. ऐसा भी बोल सकते हैं. Simply I can say that the electric field due to a charged plane sheet. When the charges are available on the surface of the plane sheet, we come across surface charge density. So I go for last derivation step. Electric field due to a charged plane sheet. सही है? थोड़ा हेडिंग को गौर करो. आई नीड द चार्ज्ड प्लेन शीट. नाउ दिस इज माय चार्ज प्लेन शीट. नाउ दिस इज द चार्ज प्लेन शीट. When the charges are given to it, the charges are available on the front surface as well as back surface of the plane sheet. मैं आपको बता दूंगा. Now these are the charges distributed on the surface of the plane sheet. Q amount of the charges. Suppose if I take this is a plane sheet. जब इसको चार्जेस दे देते, चार्जेस यहाँ पे भी आ जाते, चार्जेस इस तरफ भी आ जाते, because we are dealing with 2 dimension, x axis, y axis, we cannot see the back charges. That should be understood. In 3 dimension, we can easily understood. These are the charges available on one surface and these are the charges on the another surface. Now this is our plane sheet. सही है, वही concept है. Front charges आपको दिख रहे हैं, back charges आपको नहीं दिखते, because we are drawing the 2 dimension figure. So the surface density of the charge is sigma. Then I must be enclose the charges. To enclose the charge, I take the cylindrical surface of uniform cross-section area. The ends of the cylindrical surface are equidistant from the center. Now this surface encloses the back charges and this surface encloses the front charges. Now this is the यूनिफॉर्म क्रॉस सेक्शन एरिया, दोनों का क्रॉस सेक्शन एरिया सेम है. चार्जेस को एनक्लोज करने के लिए बैक चार्जेस एनक्लोज करे, ए फ्रंट चार्जेस एनक्लोज करता. नो द डायरेक्शन ऑफ द इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड. आई वांट टू कैलकुलेट द इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड एट अ पॉइंट P and at a point Q. Now this is the direction of the electric field due to the charge. And these surfaces are equidistant from the center of the sheet at a distance L. उसको ले लो. Then they are equidistant from the center of the sheet. सही है? कंफ्यूज कर लेना नहीं. Then this is having the area A. This is having area A, uniform cross section area. Now this surface encloses the electric flux phi1. This surface encloses electric flux phi2. Then I need both the surfaces. Then the total electric flux enclosed by the surface is phi equals to phi1 plus phi2. So the surface density sigma equals to charge per unit area. So we can go later on. Then total electric flux. Hence the total electric flux enclosed by both the surfaces phi1 plus phi2. What is phi1? A into A. What is phi2? That is also A into A. Because the electric field equals to flux per unit area. What is phi? Phi equals to A into A. This surface encloses the charges of uniform cross section area A. What is electric field E? Then phi1 equals to A into A. It is having the surface area A. Phi2 equals to A into A. Then the total electric flux phi equals to E into A plus A into A. What is that? Total electric flux phi equals to 2EA. Right? Now this is the total electric flux through both the surfaces. Then I deal the charges which are distributed on the surface of the plane sheet from Gauss theorem. I make it total electric flux. Don't be confused. That phi दोनों confuse कर लेंगे. From the Gauss theorem, total electric flux was 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. The charges are available on the surface of the plane sheet. So that is nothing but sigma equals to charge per unit area, then Q equals to sigma into A. Then shall I write here 1 by epsilon naught times sigma into A. Shall I call equation number? This is equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. देख लो गौर से. Are you sure? Then after that I compare both the equations from equation 1 and 2. Compare कर सकता हूँ मैं? Yes. 2EA is equals to sigma A divided by epsilon naught. AA get cancels. Then what is your equation? So I can write 2E is equals to sigma by epsilon naught. What is your basic final equation? Which implies E equals to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. This is your final equation. समझ में आ रहा है? अगर नहीं तो यहाँ पे अगर आपको दिखा नहीं दे रहा, आई हैव टू बी गो फॉर दिस साइड. यहाँ तक कैंसिल करें सो ये स्टेप्स को इधर ही रखेंगे, इसको यहाँ पे दे करेंगे, राइट? यहाँ पे यूज करेंगे. 2E is equals to sigma by epsilon naught, then E equals to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. अगर इसी को आप वेक्टर फॉर्म में लिखे, क्या करते हैं आप लोग? वेक्टर फॉर्म में यहाँ पे एरो मार्क डालते, इन वेक्टर फॉर्म, E सेम इक्वेशन सिग्मा बाय 2 एप्सिलॉन नॉट. जब आप एरो मार्क डाले मैग्नीट्यूड डायरेक्शन एन कैप, आप एन कैप लिखे, व्हाट दैट एन कैप इंडिकेट्स? direction, magnitude and direction, that gives what? Vector. Now this is your the electric field due to a charged plane sheet. एक बार पूरे इक्वेशंस को ग्लांस कर लो. अगर इतना इक्वेशंस आप कर लिए, so then that is the end of what? First topic, electric charge and field. Now these are the three basic applications of Gauss theorem. एक तो चार्ज स्फेरिकल कंडक्टर पर है, उसके बाद चार्ज the charges are distributed along the length, that is nothing but electric intensity due to a charged straight conductor करे. Last application, the electric intensity due to a charged plane sheet. सही? Okay. I think that you understood all the three derivations. Whatever the easy steps to be adopted by myself to understand the things for you, पूरे अडॉप्ट कर लिए. सो I think that you have understood. अगर कुछ आपको डाउट्स है डेरिवेशन में, आपको समझ में आया, कमेंट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हैं और एक बार समझा देंगे. वी आर मेंट फॉर यू. सही? सो नेक्स्ट क्लास वी गो फॉर न्यूमेरिकल्स. देन आफ्टर कंप्लीशन ऑफ द न्यूमेरिकल्स we come across the most important factor, that is the second topic, electric potential and capacitance. Is it clear? Yes. Next class we starts with numericals. Thank you.